Okay, I think maybe we are live. All right. Well, hello everybody. I guess the live I was trying to do simultaneously on Locals, Rumble, and everywhere else, including YouTube, uh, was not set up correctly. So thank heaven I was able to go live just directly on YouTube, and we'll be good with that. But thank you very much for watching. And I appreciate all of you that came over from the CBN live that we just did. That was, I thought, a pretty good one. I mean, we got a little into the weeds. And before I go much further with what I want to talk about today, I felt like I didn't really have a chance to answer many of your questions on the last one. So let's do that here. If you have questions about what we talked about on the other live, then just put them here and I'll try to answer them right away. So I appreciate all of you being on. Thank you very much for being here and for supporting CBN as well over on that one. So Matthew Tomlin is on. My man, how's it going? All right, so I'm just going to look back here and see if there's any quick questions. Nope, no questions yet. Okay. What do you think of the critique that this conflict is a religious one more so than a military operation? Well, I don't know if that's a critique or it's obvious that religion informs everything about a culture. You cannot separate the religion of a people from the culture of the people and even the foreign policy of the people. Everything about a people is informed by their religion. And believe it or not, everybody has a religion. This thing is not streaming on Rumble, by the way. It's not streaming on Locals or Rumble or anything because I just had to say bag it and just go live on YouTube because none of the others were working. So maybe next time. So I hope. Let me just tell everybody over on Locals. Um, what I was saying is that every country has a religion. Even if you say, wait, no, the United States has separation of church and state. Actually, no, we don't. Uh, the state religion just happens to not be Christianity or Judaism or Islam, God forbid. It is environmentalism. That's our state religion. And, if you step outside the box a little bit in your thinking and say, well, the tenets of a religion, you have to have faith, you have to have a answer for your meaning in life. That's what religion gives you. It provides a path to redemption, maybe forgiveness. It explains the problem of sin. It talks a little bit about has some answer for what happens after this life, those kinds of things. Well, if you go through that, environmentalism has all the tenets of a religion. And believe me, people adhere to it like a religion without a doubt. And so it's just the politically correct state religion. Do you understand that if you take Christian morals away from our society, it's not going to then have no morals? It's just, if you try to go to a secular, completely secular society, secularism is a very, very weak belief system. And the morality of secularism is so weak that it can't stand on its own. And so it will be supplanted by some other stronger system of morality. And so, is this a religious war between Israel and Iran? Well, absolutely. There's a lot of what is happening that is informed by the religions of the two peoples. I mean, do you think if Iran was a Christian country, do you think they'd be at war with Israel right now? Probably not. Actually, if you look at Christian countries around the world, they're not really known for starting wars. Some people might try to say, well, Russia's a Christian country. No, they're not. Russia's no more a Christian country than, uh, well, I, I could get myself in trouble. But Russia is certainly not a Christian country. Just because they have a Christian heritage, their work there and are Christians that live in that country does not make them a country that is driven by Christianity. The United States is much less of a Christian country than it once was, but at the very least, our system of government is benefiting from the vestiges of when America was a Christian country. And so, I mean, a state cannot really have a true religion anyway. They can try to pander to one religious group or another, but they can't do it. So, I guess maybe to answer your question, um, yes, this is a religious conflict in that sense. You could make a case for the fact that this is a conflict over worldview. But like I said, worldview is informed by religion. So there you go. Russia has, so there are many Orthodox Christians in Russia. The Russian government is not Orthodox Christian in any sense of the term, even though they claim to be. I mean, Vladimir Putin likes to pretend that he's all in with Orthodox Christianity, goes to church and stands there and genuflects and that sort of thing. But I, I mean, only the Holy Spirit knows his heart. But I would say that judging from the fruits of his actions, there's no way you could make a case that Vladimir Putin or the Russian government is in any way Christian. Okay. So that answers that question. There was another question that, have you watched the 1916 Project movie? It is good. No, I haven't, but maybe I'll watch that tonight when I get done with the lives. Thank you for the recommendations. Matter of fact, if you have a good recommendation for a movie that you've seen lately, it's so hard to find a good movie. I would trust your guys' recommendations over anything else. So make a comment in the chat of the best movie you've seen lately that you would recommend that Connie and I watch, either in the theaters or here at home. Okay, let's see here. Look. Yeah, I'm coming to you from my studio in Panama. Was in class all day, didn't get news. Did something happen today? So real quick, KP1, what happened today in Israel is that the Israeli army is pushing more troops into southern Lebanon. They are taking over more villages. So they have, and I, really wanted to add this so I could show it to you. I wonder if I could do that while I'm talking here. The IDF pushed further into Lebanon. They're now 6 kilometers into Lebanon at this point. And let's go studio mode. And maybe I can put this image up here and show you what I'm talking about. They, wait, that's not an image, that's a video. They've now pushed 6 kilometers, which is what, 2.5, 3 miles, something like that, into Lebanon and created like a buffer zone along the border. And it's likely that they're going to have troops in that buffer zone for the foreseeable future, like for a long, long time. But there are a couple of countries that are pushing for a ceasefire agreement with Lebanon. And whether or not that happens is kind of, we'll have to wait and see. Oh, yeah, I did get this. Oh, no, I didn't get this. Oh, crud. I thought I got that downloaded. I have a bunch of videos of strikes on Islamic terrorists and airstrikes and things like that I was going to show you because I was so excited because I could go over to locals and show you over there. I'll just have to do that separately, but I didn't get it. I didn't get it downloaded. The other video I wanted to show you of what they're finding along the border. So the Israelis are moving all along the northern border up there inside Lebanon. And there are a lot of villages that overlook Israel that are up on high points, and you can see them. I've been up there. If you go to Malkia, if you go to Jish, any of those areas, you can stand up there on high points and you can see Lebanese villages on hilltops across the border. Okay. Well, the IDF is systematically going through those villages now. And what they're finding is exactly what they found in Gaza, that those were not civilian villages that had a smattering of military hardware stored here and there in the village. Those were military bases disguised as villages. That's really what they were. And almost every house in the village, these villages they're going through, has things like, oh man, I could have sworn I had a screenshot of that. It had, oh, there it is. Okay, this is a screenshot I'm going to show you here of it's an aerial view of a village inside Lebanon. Actually, the border is that white line that's just on the bottom left, going from the bottom left of the screen there. That white line is the border. So this is a village that butts up against the border with Israel. And what they found inside this village was that virtually every building you see there was in some way, shape, or form connected to Hezbollah. And they didn't just find one village like this. They found many villages like this. And so obviously it's going to take them some time to clean that out. They are collecting up all the stuff that they're finding and now starting to use it against the fighters that they're encountering along the way, making good use of it. That's smart. In the south, Gaza has, I don't know if you saw my 2-minute update, but they have captured like 1,200 Hamas fighters in Jabalia alone in the last 2 weeks. And they have taken out or liquidated another like 1,300 of them. So they're making very good progress in there. We're getting down to the end of Hamas at this point. So very, very good to see that happening. Okay. Hello, are you checking your email? How to contact you? Yeah, you can send me an email if you like. Send it to hotzoneholton@gmail.com and we'll get it to where it needs to go, whether to me or I don't know if you're asking about one of our trips. Let me just real quickly run down the trips that we've got going, folks. We have a few slots left for our trip to Armenia next June. If you'd like to travel with me and my wife to an absolutely amazing place, I found out just recently that Armenia was actually the setting that C.S. Lewis used when he crafted the country of Narnia. When he wrote the books, the Chronicles of Narnia, he used Armenia as the template for Narnia. As a matter of fact, if you read the original books, there was writing that was Narnian writing in the books that he just sort of made up. But if you go look closely at it, it's actually Armenian letters upside down. So he just took Armenian language and turned the letters upside down, and that was Narnian. So if you want to see what real life Narnia looks like, come with us to Armenia. It's a great, great tour in June. And like I said, we got a couple slots left of that. We also, Connie, can we announce the Panama trip? I've been mentioning the Panama trip. We have a kind of a staycation that we're putting on in Panama for people, mostly for people who are interested in potentially moving to Panama. And it's not going to be a crazy, tour all around the whole country and going to a different place every day and all that sort of thing. It's going to be coming up to a resort in the mountains for 4 days and staying up there with Connie and I and getting to, learn more about Panama. We'll answer all your questions about what it's like to live part-time in Panama and or full-time in Panama. And so we have very limited slots on that. I think we only have 9 total. And I think we may already be full. I don't know. But if you're interested in that, again, you can send an email to hotzoneholton@gmail.com and we will get it where it needs to go. Okay. Oh, Connie says Panama is full. Okay. Well, never mind Panama then. All right. Well, maybe we'll lay on another Panama trip since the first one filled up so fast. If you are interested in us doing another Panama trip, say so in the comments and tell us what month would be best for you. Like June's out, but May, July, August, September, October, or something like that. And, maybe even March because, March is a nice month here. High season, high season. Poor Connie trying to get Chuck's attention. Yeah, I know it's hard because she can't yell at me. She just has to type at me like everybody else. Uh, and we're not doing another trip to Israel. Heavens no. That was probably one of the most irresponsible things I've done in a long time. Okay, so on that note, speaking of irresponsible things, um, let's go back to what I wanted to talk about with how Israel and Trump can win the war and shape Middle Eastern policy. Okay. By the way, if Connie, you're editing this thing, you can go in on YouTube and edit this. Like it's under the category of entertainment right now, which is probably why we don't have more people watching. Um, so I'm going to change that. You can change it to, news and do all that kind of stuff. Okay. Uh, so a new Middle East is what we're talking about. That's what I ended on the last live. And what I was talking about was that the Trump administration has an opportunity to join with Israel in not just making Israel safe from more attacks or decimating the proxy forces in Lebanon and Yemen and Iraq and Syria. Donald Trump has an opportunity to take advantage of this conflict in Israel and help Israel craft a new Middle East out of this. Okay. Now, I did talk about it a little bit on the last one. I'm going to talk about it some more. You can go ahead and continue to ask your questions. How will Elon Musk's view on EVs coexist with frack baby frack? That's a real good question, Trevor. You'd probably have to ask Elon Musk on that one. I don't know. That's a good question. What happened in the Panama copper mine? It shut down. I'll just stop with that. So Mick asks, how best could a Trump administration help Israel end this war? That's what I want to talk about. First of all, just doing exactly what the Biden administration didn't do would be a good start. But the Trump administration could basically take the brakes off of Israel and say, Israel, do your thing. You guys got this, and we got your back. And provide them with whatever weapons, whatever defensive capabilities they need to go after it, and then let them do it. See, if you've been watching me for a while, you know that I think that the the war in Ukraine is a strategic opportunity for America to decimate one of our major foes, Russia, and make them so that they're never going to be a threat to us in the conventional realm ever again, and do it without spending a single drop of American blood. And that is by essentially paying the Ukrainians to do our fighting for us. Turning Iran's strategy of funding proxy forces so that it doesn't have to get its hands dirty on its head, and us doing the same thing back to them. So because Iran is not a direct military threat to America in any meaningful sense right now, this is a perfect time for America to support the country that is under direct military threat from Iran in such a way that they can decimate Iran's capabilities, likely in a way that would lead to regime change. This is what we want to push for. Okay? If I was the president's advisor, what I would be saying to Donald Trump is, you go meet with Benjamin Netanyahu and you tell him, you guys do anything you can think of to destroy Iran. You want to hit their oil capabilities? Knock yourself out. You want to hit their nuclear capabilities? Knock yourself out. You want to hit their infrastructure, their power grid, their internet? Knock yourself out. Do everything you want to do to Iran to the point that they crumble, that the regime can no longer maintain control. And then we will play the good cop to your bad cop. So Israel is over there just hammering Iran's infrastructure and just making it so that it's impossible for the regime to govern anymore. And then the United States will reach out to elements within Iran, and these elements exist, that are anti-regime. And we will say, hey, we will support you if you want to take out your regime and stand up a country that would be more amenable to making peace in the region, that would give up on its zealotry and desire to bring forth the new caliphate. I mean, short of us sending Marines into Iran, killing all their leaders and converting the rest of the country to Christianity, that's probably the smartest thing we could do, would be to just pump everything that Israel needs into Israel and say, Israel, go to town. Use those bright, shiny F-35s you've got. Use those F-15s. Use your, missiles, whatever. And just crush Iran so that everybody in the region will see Iran is not a threat. Because when Iran is no longer a threat, then Saudi Arabia, they're not going to have to worry about Iran. The UAE, why do you think Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, even Morocco, why do you think those guys signed on to the Abraham Accords in the first place? Because they love Israel? They really like Israel? No, they don't necessarily like Israel. They're just not stupid. And they look at a Middle East that is controlled by Iran and they go, that's not a good look. That is not going to end well for any of us. Okay, we don't want Iran being the hegemon in the Middle East. And so then they say, well, if we don't want them to do it, here's Israel through the United States. I mean, the United States via Israel. They would be a very good trading partner. They've got, 11, 12 million people that have very high income, could buy a lot of stuff from us, could, offer a lot of trade, a lot of tourism. And, it might actually be nice not to have the whole Middle East on fire for just like 1 year. Can we not have a war over here for 1 year, right? Most people in Saudi Arabia are too young to remember why they hate Israel. And MBS, the crown prince in Saudi Arabia, he's very progressive. He wants to see a different Saudi Arabia emerge once the old man is gone. Jordan, same thing. Jordan desperately needs Israel to survive and thrive because of all that they get from Israel, their water, their power, all kinds of stuff. So nobody in that region really wants Iran to be calling the shots. So but they have an image problem. If a Muslim country goes to war against this other Muslim country, that causes problems with all the other Muslim countries. They would almost rather see Israel do it. Go do that dirty work. And Israel has the capability to do it. So if we just went to Israel and said, we're backing you up 100%, take out Iran, and then we will support whatever replaces it. Because there's a lot of people in Iran that would love to see the regime in Iran go. I would say the vast majority of people in Iran would like to see the regime go. Would like to see the ability come to Iran to have a beer, go dancing, sing, wear your hair down, not cover your head, not have to go everywhere dressed like a set of drapes. There's a lot of people in Iran that think that way. I know because I talk to them when they come to Armenia on vacation. So that's what is at stake here, is a whole new Middle East. And this trophy that is just out of reach is achievable if the United States throws its weight in the ring behind Israel. So what's the alternative? If the United States shows weakness in the region, or God forbid continues to, uh, not support Israel in the way that they should be supported, then we're going to see further anti-Semitism rising up all around the world. Do you understand that if Israel wins this thing and ends the war and peace comes to that region, those college kids that are all out there rioting in the streets, they're going to find something else to do. They don't really have the courage of their convictions. They're not going to, plant a flag for the rest of their life on protesting against Israel. They're LARPing. Do you know what LARPing is? It's where you go out camping and you bring like foam armor and you get in teams and you have fake battles with foam swords and wooden shields and foam helmets and stuff, bike helmets and things. You're not actually fighting. You're just pretending to be fighting for fun. Most of the kids that are out there protesting against this war, they're just LARPing. They couldn't explain to you in even the most basic terms what the stakes are in that region. If you gave them a blank map of the Middle East, they probably couldn't identify 3 countries. Be lucky if they could identify what part of the world it was. These kids, I mean, I've been to these protests, I've listened to them, I've tried talking to them, and they're just dumb kids, really, for the most part. Now they're being manipulated without a doubt by, the kind of nefarious arm of the Democratic Party. I guess I repeat myself if I call the Democratic Party nefarious. Uh, But suffice it to say that once this crisis goes away and they no longer have Gaza to jump up and down about, they're going to wander off and go find something else to do. So I don't think Israel needs to worry a whole lot about the international opprobrium that there is being heaped upon them right now in the UN or anywhere else. The UN is making itself obsolete. It's showing itself to be in bed with terrorist organizations. I have been a war correspondent for more than 20 years, and I've seen the UN at work in many places around the world, and I've never yet seen one place where the UN actually made the problem better. Most of the time, they exacerbate the problem rather than making it improve. So Nader Nation says, do you think Trump will try to get Abraham Accords in Lebanon, or is it unrealistic? I think they could. I think that this is a golden opportunity. That's what I'm getting at here. That's the whole point of this live, is that we have a golden opportunity as America to support Israel in this fight to the extent that they just decimate the evil opposition that it was arrayed against them and make room for level-headed people who live in Lebanon, who live in Gaza or the West Bank, for level-headed people who, are even in Iran, who are more amenable to living in peace. And if we take that opportunity, I think that 4 years from now, we could be looking at an entirely different Middle East. Okay? So this is exciting. Now, off-topic question. Any truth about rumored FEMA staging 350 semi-trucks in Michigan? Yeah, I mean, I've heard that too. I've heard actually many rumors of that. No idea what that's all about. We have had similar questions about, there's been a large number of C-17 military transport planes landing here in Panama, which is strange because there are not usually a whole lot of um, American assets, military assets in Panama. Panamanians, as you can understand, because of the invasion, get a little sketchy when a bunch of American military stuff starts showing up in their country. I don't know why they're here. We've been trying to find out. I don't think it's anything nefarious. There may be a training exercise, or maybe there's some high-ranking diplomat like Mayorkas or somebody who's coming down, or maybe even the president is going to make a stop down here at some point on his farewell tour. I don't know. But there's like 15 American C-17s that are parked at Howard Air Force Base just outside of Panama City. And that's a little strange. So yeah, good question. I don't know. Daniel Reynolds says, should they defund the UN? Boy, that's a thorny question. There are certainly arguments for doing so and just pulling out altogether. Unfortunately, the United States, if we pulled out of the UN would continue just without the United States. And so then we would not have any sway, no veto power, no voting rights or anything like that in that world body. And that would be America just stepping back from its role as the hegemon globally. And when there's a power vacuum, it won't stay a vacuum for long. Somebody will slide into that spot. So if we're not the global hegemon, who would you rather be the global hegemon? Would you rather China be the global hegemon? Russia, Iran, North Korea, Venezuela? I don't know. Personally, I kind of like the United States being the world's, rule setter. That's what a hegemon is. we exercise control over the way things work around the globe because of our great power. And, a lot of people talk about the fact, and this goes into what I'm talking about here. Thank you, by the way. I didn't say thank you. Love, peace, joy. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Don Dunn, very kind. Prayers for Abraham Accords. Yes, absolutely. And Adam Forbes, thank you. And PC, thank you very much. There was talk of Israel being kicked out of the UN. Yeah, the United States wouldn't allow that. We would veto that. So that's not, we don't have to worry about the Israelis being kicked out. Now, I wanted to go back because I saw a couple of questions back here. Let's see here. Are you pleasantly surprised at how much Israel has accomplished in Gaza and Lebanon compared to what you thought was possible when the Gaza war first started? Well, no, Buddy Martin, I'm not. I actually expected that it would go quicker than this, and it could have. It could have gone quicker than this, but it didn't, simply because the United States threw sand in the gears, tried very hard to keep Israel from winning. So they could have won. Israel could have made this much more intense, which would have made it shorter. But we didn't allow them to, because we pushed them basically to keep, pumping the brakes every time Israel got close to actually accomplishing anything, and that was not helpful. So anyway, I think that could have done better. Let's see here. Any other questions? News about Panama Canal. The second, what do they call it in English? I forget the word in English. The drought that they had in the Panama Canal is definitely over now. It's this rainy season has been very rainy down here. We're going to end up having like 19 feet of rain in Panama over the rainy season this year, which is insane. Question: can't we revoke the UN Charter? We only have 2 seats. The Arabs fill the rest. Europeans are not our friends. I don't think so. We could now. I do have to sort of caveat that what I said about the UN by saying that if we pulled out of the UN might crumble, because we provide about a quarter of of all the funding for the entire United Nations. And so the the UN might not be able to continue being that relevant if the US pulled out. However, it would again signal basically the end of American hegemony around the globe, and that is not something that we really want to entertain. What is the protocol should President Trump be assassinated before he takes office in January? Well, J.D. Vance would take over as the president-elect if that were to happen. I haven't seen much violence yet in the States. Do you think they're waiting for the inauguration? Yeah, no, Trump's not president yet. So they're keeping a lid on it. It'll start about January 20th. And I plan to be in Washington, D.C., at least right now, that's the plan, to cover it then. And it looks like over the next 4 years, I may end up spending a lot more time in the United States, covering conflicts and wars than I spend overseas. Because believe me, the Democrats are going to take the gloves off. They're going to release the hounds. All these ridiculous LARPing college kids are going to be out in force. And there's going to be a lot of, looting and pillaging and burning and BLM style riots over the next 4 years. The Democrats, that's their playbook. They want chaos and they foment chaos whenever there's a Republican administration. They do that to try to scare everybody out of voting Republican. And it worked for them the last time. They had so much violence during the Trump administration, Trump 45, that people were like, I'm just fed up with all this craziness. And Trump didn't help that with his Twitter habit and stuff like that. But, people were just like, I'm just fed up. Now, there's some other issues with that election as well. We won't talk about that on YouTube, but suffice it to say that the Democrats are going to take the gloves off, and when Donald Trump is president again, they're going to try to stir up as much chaos as possible during the 4 years of his presidency, just um, to scare people away from voting Republican. All right. So uh, I still highly recommend that you go get my book. If you go over to chuckholton.com, you can get a free download of my book, Death of Civilization. It has checklists and all sorts of stuff in the back of the book that will help you get yourself ready for that kind of unrest and violence if it does happen in the United States. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I hope we just have the smooth sailing for the next 4 years. I just don't think it's going to happen that way. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. And a lot of people are saying, please go down and report in North Carolina. Might do that if I get a chance. There's just so many crises and not enough me. I need more of me to cover all these crises. And you guys donating here actually does help. Helps me be more independent. I get calls from Newsmax and they want me to go do things that I don't want to do. And so I'm able to say no to them because of people like you. So thank you very much for that. And yes, I did call them LARPers. They definitely are. What do you think the Democrats' approach will be moving forward? Well, I think I just answered that question, Adam. Brian asks, could the U.S. improve the UN in any way? Well, yeah, they could. They could start making funding contingent on some like reasonable changes being made in the UN. For the amount of money that the United States contributes to the United Nations budget, we should have a lot more control, a lot more say over what the UN does, what kind of other UN. It's not just the UN itself, right? It's the International Criminal Court, the ICJ, the International Court of Justice. It's the UNIFIL, the UNRWA, it's the UNDOF, it's the MINISTA, it's the all of these UN organizations, UNICEF, all these UN organizations that get funded by the United States that by and large waste absolute profane sums of American money. And we should just say, you know what, you want to get money from us, we're not paying our bill to the UN until these things change. We don't want any of our money going to fund UNIFIL, which then gives that money to Hezbollah. We're just not going to be a party to that. And if the UN insists on being party to that, then we're just not going to pay for it. Question: have you heard that Iran has biological weapons like sedatives for rockets? Yes, we've heard a lot of talk about that. That actually goes back to a West Point, a report that came out of West Point Military Academy, where they found after an investigation that Iran has been experimenting with biological agents that are aerosolized that would essentially like either incapacitate or eliminate large numbers of people over a wide area if an airburst weapon could be come up with. So the one that they were talking about was fentanyl specifically. As you know, fentanyl kills more than 100,000 people in the United States every year. It's an extremely deadly and powerful drug. And a little too much of it, and good night, Irene, right? You're out. So if they found a way to store, transport, aerosolize, and then transport that to the target and aerosolize it, explosively over an area like Tel Aviv, that could be really, really, really bad. So far, we don't have any evidence of them being able to use those. And like I talked about it at length last night, it is quite complex. It's not as simple as just throwing a bunch of fentanyl pills into a nose cone of a rocket and aiming it toward Israel. It's not how that works. You'd have to be able to distribute it over a really wide area, maybe through the water supply, is something like that. And that would be more of a sabotage type thing than a direct military operation. Okay. So hopefully that answered that question. Okay. With all the red, there will be more partying than protesting. They'd be squashed badly in my IMO. Well, it depends on where you are. If you're in a place that is run by Democrats, good luck with the partying aspect. As you know, you may have seen the news that there was a man who in Portland who was celebrating after election night that Trump won, and his own daughter, who's transgender, so I don't know if it was actually his son pretending to be a daughter, or I don't know how that works, but suffice it to say, he, she, it, whatever, took an ice pick and murdered her father for celebrating uh, the Trump win. There was another guy who murdered his entire family, his ex-wife, and himself after the win. I mean, this is what the kind of things that we're dealing with. So if Tamara, I don't know if you saw, but a couple nights ago, I did an entire live with a guest who was in North Carolina specifically about the situation there. So maybe you didn't see that. That's at CBN's YouTube channel. So go over to CBN.com. I'm sorry, CBN's YouTube, CBN News on YouTube, and just go back in their live broadcasts till you see a strapping young man on TV with me. And he did a great job. That he got a bunch of his friends together and went out and helped a lot of people in his area. And he told us all about what was going on there. So I did do one just 2 days ago on that. Do you think Trump will designate the cartels in Mexico as terrorists? I would love to see that happen. And I wouldn't mind even seeing the Trump administration start to take military action against the cartels. It's probably not a great idea to imagine Delta Force going into Mexico and patrolling around the mountains, taking out guys that are growing marijuana. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the first thing that we have to do is we have to completely change the culture at our intelligence gathering um, agencies, the DIA and the CIA. And you know, I don't know if his pick for intelligence director in Tulsi Gabbard is, she's got to be better than what they've got. She's been spectacularly wrong on things over the last couple of years regarding Ukraine. So, you know, very, very influenced by uh, you know, right-wing talking points that are provably wrong, and Russian propaganda, which is even more provably wrong. So I'm not super impressed with Tulsi Gabbard in that one area. Everything else I've seen from Tulsi Gabbard, I like. So I'm not saying that it was a mistake to choose her as the defense, and put her in charge of the intel agency or whatever. But um, I just hope that she would not turn out to be a politician, because, you know, she was a Democrat for a long time and she's swung to the right. That's great. But, you know, I mean, yeah, we're all supposed to get smarter as we get older. But I think that it would be great to see the Trump administration designate these cartels as um, transnational criminal organizations, TCOs, open up the possibility of literally dropping JDAMs on them in Mexico. Because, you know, look, the Mexican government is going to whine and cry and have a tizzy and get its, you know, castanets in a wad, but in reality, most of Mexico is a failed state. I mean, much of Mexico is a failed state. There's many places in Mexico where the only government authority is the cartels. And in those places, we should go after them because they are they are a serious national security threat. I almost said existential threat, but that's not true. They're a national security threat to the United States. They are committing violence against American citizens by pumping drugs into the United States. And so we ought to take it more seriously than we have, to the extent that I wouldn't have any problem dropping, uh, you know, tubular complaints on those people, even inside Mexico. But we'll see. I think that there's a lot we could do by simply reinstituting the policies that Trump had in place the first time with regards to, um, trade policy. We could slap a big tax on remittances to Mexico, and that would hurt them very bad in the pocketbook. So, there's other things we can do to ramp that up. We don't necessarily have to send troops on the ground into Mexico. Okay. MM says, is it better to support you on Linktree rather than YouTube? Yes. The places on Linktree, which is like Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, take a much smaller bite out of whatever you donate than YouTube does. I really appreciate all that you do on YouTube, especially you, MM. You're amazing. I wish I knew more about who you are and where you live and everything, but thank you for what you do. You're very kind to us, and we notice and we appreciate it very, very much. But yeah, Venmo is probably the best place because they don't really take anything out as a fee or anything. So, all right, let's see here. Just looking through here to see if there's anything else. Adam Forbes, thank you very much. Badger Girl for God, what was your question? Go and rest, sister. Where did I miss her question? I thought my parents moved in with me, so it's been hard to catch. Tonight's not my night for getting questions answered. Oh, shoot. Well, I wish I had seen it, but I didn't, so sorry. Okay, I did miss this question from Sequest BCD. What effect on Israel do you think now that Saudi has drawn closer to Iran and the fall of the Abraham Accords? So the Abraham Accords have not fallen. That's not true. The Abraham Accords have held. We have seen Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Morocco, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain. Qatar's not part of it. We have seen all of those countries, though, come out with condemnation of Israel in terms of what they're doing in Gaza. But tellingly, none of them have pulled out of the Abraham Accords. None of them have canceled their commitments. They're still allowing flights. I mean, the airlines out of the UAE are still flying into Israel, if you can believe that. Fly Dubai, still flying into Israel. That says something, folks, that they are doing what they feel like they need to do to placate their angry Muslim populace. But they know that the Abraham Accords is the future, and they have not pulled out. So, although the Saudis have made noises like, that they're supporting Iran in this, they don't really. I don't think they really do. I could be wrong. They could be shifting that way, but there would have to be a very good reason for them to do that, and they don't have a good reason. They are Sunni, and the Iranians are Shia, and they don't play well together. Sue Thompson says, don't you have faith in Governor Huckabee? I certainly do. I know him personally, and I have spent time with him in Israel, a little bit of time. And I do have tremendous faith in him. I think that Israeli American relations are going to be much, much better. Take Me Home is a great movie. Okay, I'm just looking. Adam and Shane. Thank you. Okay. You guys can see where I am. Germany is recruiting refugee mercenaries from Syria, Afghanistan, and Libya. They're offering them $5,000 a month to fight for Israel. Tom, I'd like to see a link. That's news to me. I've not seen that anywhere. Understand there's a lot of misinformation out there about stuff, and I don't think that's true. I can't imagine why Germany would do that. Germany has been supporting Israel for sure, but they're not going to send troops. And Israel doesn't really need troops. They need equipment more than troops. Okay. I don't think Israel would even accept that. Question, Buddy Martin 71, would fentanyl bomb or some successful bioweapon use have similar backlash as using a nuclear weapon? It depends on how successful it was. If it was successful and it killed 10,000 people or something horrible like that, then yes, it would. It all comes down to the death toll. Okay. Now, let's see here, just run through some more or see if there's any others. Trump Musk Efficiency Agency renegotiate the UN. That'd be interesting to see. Okay, I think I got most of them all. All right, well, I think that's about it for tonight. Oh, what was that movie again? Yeah, Schindler's List is the best movie I never want to see again in my life. I mean, what a powerful, powerful historical reminder of why it's important for us to stand for what's right in this world. That's an amazing movie. Who would you like to see in Trump's cabinet? Normal people. I really like it when he picks. I would like it to see him pick people like I was really excited to see that they're going to be picking non-commissioned officers to review the generals and kick out generals that are bad. Because if anybody knows which generals suck, it's the non-commissioned officers. So get some good command sergeant majors in there and you'll see things start to change. I think the more military people that we get in there, the better, because military people know how to go hard and put the mission first. Okay. Dumb question. What exactly is the Abraham Accords? So the Abraham Accords was a treaty that was put together by Donald Trump in his first term between Israel, the UAE, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Morocco. I think that's all. There might be one more in there. And where they basically opened up trade. It's a trade agreement. They agreed to do business with one another and allow flights from each other's countries. Before that, you couldn't fly from a Muslim Arab country to Israel. You had to go to a different country first and then fly to Israel. But when the Abraham Accords took effect, for the first time, you could fly from Dubai, a Muslim country in the UAE, directly to Israel. That was huge, huge. And I think it will only expand under the next Trump administration. So let's hope that they go hard and treat this like a full court press for 4 years and don't dilly-dally. And so tomorrow, I'm still going to try to do this live where we can do it in multiple locations at once. It just wasn't set up right tonight. And so I just had to default to YouTube. But yeah, I'm going to go see Bonhoeffer for sure over Thanksgiving. That's hopefully going to be a really good movie. Do you think Trump will stop funding UNRWA? Absolutely. We already did. We've already stopped funding UNRWA. And so thank you very much for watching. We will see you again probably tomorrow night. Depends on if we have Bible study here or not. If I'm not on tomorrow night, don't be worried. It's just that there's Bible study. And other than that, we will see you all later. God bless you and have a great weekend.